What if I told you electricity may have been discovered over 2,000 years ago, long before Benjamin Franklin, long before Alessandro Volta? A small clay jar buried beneath the sands of ancient Mesopotamia has puzzled scientists for decades. Some believe it was the world's first battery. Others believe it was nothing more than an ordinary clay jar. So, what's the truth? Could ancient people really generate electricity? Or is this one of history's greatest archaeological mysteries? This is the story of the Baghdad Battery. In 1936, during excavations near Kujut Rabu, just outside Baghdad, archaeologists uncovered a small clay jar. It stood only 13 centimeters tall, made from ordinary clay. At first glance, it looked completely unremarkable, just another artifact from the ancient world. It was carefully cataloged and placed among thousands of other discoveries. An ordinary day, an ordinary find, or so they thought. Then someone looked inside. What they found was unlike anything they expected. A thin cylinder made of copper, an iron rod placed precisely through its center. The two metals carefully separated by a layer of hardened bitumen. 3 different materials assembled with surprising precision. It didn't look random, it looked intentional. And suddenly, this small clay jar was no longer just another artifact. It had become one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. 1938, a strange artifact caught the attention of archaeologists in Baghdad. It was a small clay jar. At first glance, it looked completely ordinary, but inside the jar was something unusual. A copper cylinder surrounded an iron rod, and between them was a layer of asphalt-like material, acting as an insulator. The design was simple, but strangely sophisticated. The question was obvious. Why would someone, more than 2,000 years ago, build an object like this? There were no wires, no switches, no obvious explanation for its purpose. Yet the combination of copper, iron, and an acidic liquid could potentially produce electricity. Could this ancient object really have been a battery? Or was its purpose something completely different? The discovery raised a mystery that archaeologists and scientists are still debating today. In 1938, German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig, working at the Baghdad Museum, took a closer look at the mysterious jar. What he noticed would spark one of archaeology's greatest debates. The combination of a copper cylinder, an iron rod, and an insulating layer looked strangely familiar. Koenig proposed a bold idea. What if this ancient artifact was actually a battery? According to his theory, filling the jar with an acidic liquid such as vinegar or grape juice could create a small electrical current. At first, most scientists dismissed the idea. Electricity was considered a modern discovery, not something ancient civilizations could understand. But decades later, researchers decided to test Koenig's hypothesis. They built replicas using the same materials. Then they filled them with acidic liquids. The results surprised everyone. The jars produced nearly 1 volt of electricity. It wasn't enough to power machines, but it was enough to prove that the design could generate real electrical current. For the first time, The possibility that ancient people had accidentally, or deliberately, created a primitive battery no longer seemed impossible. As interest in the Baghdad Battery grew, scientists wanted answers. Could this ancient jar really have been used to generate electricity? In the 1970s, German engineer Arne Egebrecht decided to test the idea. He built replicas based on the original design. According to his claim, several jars connected together produced enough electrical current to coat a small object with a thin layer of gold. If true, this would mean the Baghdad Battery may have been used for electroplating nearly 2,000 years ago. It was a remarkable possibility, but there was one major problem. No official scientific paper describing Egebrecht's experiment was ever published. Without detailed documentation, other researchers couldn't fully verify his results. Over the years, scientists repeated similar experiments. Some successfully generated small amounts of electricity. Others produced currents too weak for practical use. The evidence remained divided. The jars clearly could generate electricity under certain conditions, but whether ancient people actually used them that way remains one of archaeology's greatest unanswered questions. If the Baghdad Battery really generated electricity, one important question remains. What was it actually used for? This is where the mystery becomes even deeper. Archaeologists have never discovered any ancient electrical devices connected to these jars. No evidence of a larger electrical system has ever been found. So, what powered what? Some researchers believe the jars were used for electroplating. A small electrical current could have coated bronze or silver objects with a thin layer of precious metal. Others suggest a completely different purpose. Perhaps the electricity, if it existed at all, was used during religious ceremonies. A small electric shock could easily have been seen as a sign from the gods. But many archaeologists disagree. They believe the Baghdad Battery was never a battery. It may have been nothing more than an ordinary storage jar used to protect valuable scrolls or sacred ceremonial objects. Even today, no theory has been proven, and that uncertainty is exactly why the Baghdad Battery remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Before we reach a conclusion, we need to step back and look at the world in which the Baghdad Battery existed. During the Parthian period, ancient craftsmen were already highly skilled in working with copper, iron, and other metals. So technically, building such a device would not have been impossible. But there is one detail that continues to puzzle historians. Not a single ancient text describes this jar as a source of electricity. No inscriptions, no drawings, no instructions, nothing. Archaeologists have discovered similar vessels across the region, yet none of them explain why they were made. If this really was one of history's earliest batteries, why did no one ever write about it? Perhaps the greatest clue isn't what we found, it's what we never did. And after nearly 2,000 years, the Baghdad Battery still refuses to give us a definitive answer. So, was the Baghdad Battery the world's first battery, or simply an ordinary clay jar, misunderstood by history? Perhaps we'll never know, but maybe history isn't missing the answers. Maybe we're still asking the wrong questions. If you enjoy uncovering history's greatest mysteries, subscribe and join us every week as we explore the forgotten secrets of our past. Because somewhere beneath the earth, the next discovery could rewrite history once again. Until then, keep questioning, keep discovering, and I'll see you in the next mystery.